It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here in our road track series, and from our city, hometown Vadodara, having a nationally renowned sports person and adding to the very rare list of female motorsport athletes. It's an absolute honor to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here.
Uh, we'll like to know about your journey, and to start the podcast off, we'll really like to know how did you actually entered into motorsports, and being a woman in a male dominated sport, especially in a country like India where there isn't much of the
Yes.
awareness when it comes to motorsports. Was that your decision when you were young, or did your family also played a very huge part in that decision, or did you show some talent when you were young?
I think it's all three of them. I started my journey when I was 9 years old, back in 2010. So my dad started this go-karting track that most of us know in Sindh Road in 2009, and I used to look at my brothers drive, and I was like, why are they enjoying? Like even I want to try out. Like how does this feel? So the first time I ever sat in a go-kart, I was just like 8 years old. I was very small. I couldn't reach the pedals, and as soon as I got on the accelerator, I went and directly hit the wall, and the steering wheel hit my stomach, and I was like, "Whoa, no, this is not meant for me. I can't do this. It's too dangerous." But then again, just looking at my brothers enjoy so much, like every time they would come out, they would have smiles on their face, and I was like, I have to do this. So slowly, like I took a few weeks to just learn. Slowly my brothers helped me get used to the cart and everything, started driving better. And in a few months, when I turned 9, my dad asked me if I wanted to take it professionally. Now as a 9-year-old child, you don't really know what professional motorsport
Yes.
is, right? And I was like, okay, for me it was just about I get to travel a lot more. I get to race, and especially traveling around the city, and like not the city, the country.
Country.
I get to miss school. That was one of my biggest motivations. Like, let's do this. And we went to see one of the national karting races happening in Pune, and over there, usually we see there is different categories like in every other sport for men and women. I thought the same is going to be here as well. But when I saw everyone driving, there were just few girls, one or two girls at that point of time, but they were racing amongst the guys. And that really, made me very excited. That over here, it's like you race together, whoever is the best driver out there wins the race.
Yes.
And I used to enjoy racing with my brothers, so I was like, this is going to be more fun, so let's do it. I got professionally trained for a few days and a few weeks of training, again practice. I was there in 2010 at my first ever national karting championship at the age of 9.
Okay. So before we started this interview, uh, I told you that I have a childhood memory of yours.
Yes, yes.
So my dad, actually we had a ritual. When
Okay.
your father started the go karting track, every Sunday he used to take me out there for a session or two. And I remember I was this tall.
Okay.
I was this tall, and you were this tall,
Yes.
and you had a white colored go kart.
Yes,
And the
yes.
first time I entered the track, you just went blazing by the straight, that small straight that you have on the track.
Yes, yes.
And I went out in your other carts, the black ones,
Yes.
and I tried doing the same that you did, and I
You couldn't.
directly hit the
The wall.
tires over
Okay.
there. And I also remember that your dad and your brother were there, and your dad was setting up your entire cart for your second session. He took out the wheels, and your brother
Yes.
was walking on the track, arranging all the tires and
Yes.
everything. So it was a very wholesome moment, and I can understand that your entire family is very, very into racing, and they actually wish to support you, and it's
Oh yeah,
so
for
nice.
sure. As you said, so that's the car that I started racing in
Okay.
professionally. So that was the difference between the cars that you drove. My cart was the
Yeah,
professional go
mine was
kart.
very slow.
Yeah, that was the four-stroke go-karts for everyone to drive. But yeah, as you said, my dad, we do not have our mechanics here. They are
Yes.
based out in different cities. So my dad actually learned how to do all of that, because for us to travel every time from Gujarat to, Bangalore or to Kolhapur,
Hmm.
to different cities, it's expensive at that
Yeah.
point of time, and we used to travel by car. So my dad learned everything about how the cart works, what all,
Hmm.
uh, things that I need to do, how do I need to improve on track. So everyone on the track, whoever is working, my family, everyone is so focused when I am there practicing to help me out. So I'm very blessed. I would say that
Yes.
I have a family who's so passionate about
So
motorsports.
why did your father actually start a go-kart track in the first place? Was it his dream?
Yes,
Okay.
not a go-kart track was a dream. He was just a passionate person about speed.
Okay.
So in his times, he couldn't get into motorsports or race professionally. So he was like, he knew there's this track which was closed for a very long
Hmm.
time, and he was friends with one of the owners. So he's like, okay, you know what? I never got to do anything at that point of time. I have the money right now. Let me start it.
Hmm.
And he actually bought, like, rented out the land and everything. He started working, started clearing things out. We didn't know about all of this. The whole track, once it was like almost cleaned and everything, that's when he said that, okay, look, I have rented this track out, and I'm planning to start this as another thing for me, and we have to go do the puja. And we're like, wow, that's cool, let's do it. So we didn't know about all of this, and it is just, he was very passionate about it, and I think everyone grew in that
Hmm.
atmosphere. My uncle is also very passionate about cars, so all the kids have always gone out on long drives, and as soon as we got the track, we had like a huge surprise for us that we can always be at the track, we can drive how much ever we want. So I'm happy that the whole family supports,
Yeah.
and especially my brothers, because they had the chance. They were okay, little better than me at that point of time, but they decided not to get into it, and they were like,
Okay.
no, let's send Mira into this. Let her, follow her
Hmm.
dream and let her achieve her goals. And they took the part of studies and like all
Okay.
the other things. So I'm glad that I had the support from everyone.
So that must be now how many years into this motorsport journey of
This
yours?
is my 13th year.
13th year.
Yes.
So in 13 years you have risen through a lot of different categories of racing, from
Yes.
karting to open
Open
seat,
wheels.
open
Yes.
wheels, and we'll touch upon your recent achievements later. I have a few questions on that.
Sure.
But how was your journey? Because Vadodara isn't, even Gujarat isn't the hub of motorsports.
Not at all. Yes.
South India is, later on Delhi became after BIC came. So having risen through the ranks of the all the categories, the MRF Cups and the JK series and everything, how did your training change? How did you physically cope up? Did you have other resources at your disposal to groom your skills?
So when I say I didn't have a lot of options, as you said, and as I mentioned, we had to travel every time, and we couldn't do that.
Hmm.
So at the track itself, my dad would make me drive. Initially, when I just started out, my dad would make me drive 100 laps of the car
Oh.
of the track over here, because if I do 100 laps, the same amount of track time that I'm getting,
Hmm.
I'll be covering only 15 laps in a normal
Yeah.
racetrack. So he would make me drive so much so that I build up the capacity to
Okay.
actually be there and race continuously and not get tired after a point of time. As you mentioned physically as well, I had to cope up. Initially, I was very weak. I didn't realize how much importance fitness has in the world of
Yes.
motorsport. So I used to start getting tired after a point in the last few laps, which is the most crucial time,
Yes.
and I realized people would overtake me over there. So that's why I was like, no, I need to work on my fitness. I need to, make my body get used to this. So I had to start working out with that. And then, obviously, as I started growing up, we started going to other racetracks to practice and do some testings. But growing in different series, like after karts came for open wheel racing, then that shifting process, because
Hmm.
karts we do not have gears.
Yes.
It's just 120 kilometers per hour, whereas the open wheels that I had to shift into was cars, gears, 180 kilometers per hour, and then comes the Formula 4 cars which goes up to 230 kilometers per hour. So all of that obviously needs a lot of training and physical training as well. So whenever I get a chance to travel and go to a racetrack, I always take it up and just practice as much as I can.
Okay. So for the listeners and the viewers who don't know, for you the highest achievement, I'd say, personally you might have any of the personal achievements we don't know about that. I'd like to know about that, but you raced into the Formula 4 category,
Yes.
and at Malaysia you were a podium finisher. I think you
Yes.
came P1,
Yes, yes.
and that was the first time a female Indian racer she climbed onto the steps of the podium.
Yes.
So, how was that weekend of yours? How do you remember the Friday, how it started boiling, and Saturday and Sunday, and
Now
how
let
was
me
that
let me
experience?
tell you how it actually happened. It was very random.
Okay.
So already a few rounds of that championship were done, and one day I think it was Thursday, and the organizers called me and they're like, Mira, we have a seat available for you. We'll give it to you at a discounted rate. You just come over here and drive. Now my dad and I were like questioning if we should actually go or not, because it's very last moment. I have no experience with the car.
You show face. If you don't have a good result, then
Yeah.
that is on your record.
Exactly. So we were very, like, we're not sure. So, but then my dad was like, what's there to lose? Let's
Yeah.
just go. Let's learn. We didn't have our visas. We are like, we can come, but we do not have our visa. So he's like, don't worry about that. You send us a picture, we'll get your e-visas done. On Friday, actually, on Friday evening, I reached Malaysia. I have missed all the practice sessions. I have no experience. The only confidence I had was in 2017, the first time I ever drove a Formula 4 car was there in Sepang. And that was the only, like, let's say 4 hours max that I had driven on that track. So I was like, it's okay, I know the track. And then on Saturday we had like one practice session of 20 minutes. That's it. So 20 minutes, it's like 15 laps, 10 to
Yeah.
15 laps with the setup. I'm like, let's figure it out. I was in no hurry to go win a race or get on a podium or get even top 5. I had no expectations from myself, because all those drivers have been driving on that
Driving
track. No, I didn't know my engineer. I had to build a rapport with him. I had to understand the car. All of that took me until the last race on Sunday to figure out. Every race, I would slowly get better, get another position, and figure out the setup with my team. On Sunday, I knew at least, okay, I can do something about this.
Yes.
I know if I have a good start, I can keep up with them. And that's when, I got lucky that one of my competitors spun, and I actually had the opportunity to win the race. But that was in women's category.
Okay.
And that is the biggest bummer for me, because obviously it's an honor to win the race,
Yes.
stand on the podium, become India's first woman to actually get a podium in the Formula 4 championship. But at the same time, there's this aggression that I didn't win it in the overall category. Now that's the target for me, that
Okay.
I want to win a race in the overall category and stand on top of the podium representing my country. So obviously that really boosted my confidence, but at the same time it also brought out like another aggression, another fight, that I want to achieve the podium or a win in the overall category.
So we'd also like to know if you have any pre-race rituals. Do you enter the car from a left or right side every time, or do you have a baklava that you wash and you use that only every time, or something like that?
I am not. So I have a lot of friends who do not wash their overalls for so long.
Oh.
And I'm just like, how do you guys do this? And they're like, no, it's luck for us. And I'm like, please. But then I have a ritual that I have a small god idol that I
Okay.
always keep on my right side of my car. I basically duct tape it
Okay.
to the car. My mechanics are always
Yeah, because
frustrated
you're
with
adding weight to the car. So
no, it's so small. It's so small. They're like always frustrated because they'll always see me doing all of that. I'll be
Yeah.
asking for zip ties, duct tape, and they're like, Mira, just give it to us, we'll do it. I'm like, okay. So every race I'll have to get another idol of mine because they would keep it somewhere else after the race. But that's one thing that I always believe in, that I have someone, something that is giving
Yes.
me the power. I have a trishul on top of my helmet over here as well.
Okay.
So it's all pointing towards the racetrack, like all
Yeah.
on the right side, everything. So right before the race, I just zone out from everything for like 5 minutes. I talk to my car, like, let's do this. I pray, and that's it. That's my ritual that has to happen before every race.
That's nice to know. Uh, I'd also like to know the technical side of your setup. I am a car nut, so I'll ask you a few painful questions if you don't mind.
We
Uh,
shall see how much I answer about that.
okay. So, do you prefer a car which is very stable going into the corners or something which is on the edge of the knife? Do you like to have a very fickle minded front end?
It depends. It depends on the track that I'm driving and the car that I'm driving. So the LGB cars, the Formula 4 Indian version cars
Hmm.
that we drive, I would prefer oversteer any day above
Okay.
understeer. But at the same time, when I'm driving the Formula 4 car, I would like it to be very stable.
Okay.
Yeah, so it depends from every car, but my driving style is mostly a balance between the stable and the
Hmm.
aggressive part. I have to keep, adjusting every time to see where I am standing. So it's a very technical question that you've asked, because at times, it's very difficult because of the track temperatures,
Yes.
the tire compounds, and all of that. So it depends on whatever race we are driving, what tires we are driving on, which car is it. So yeah, but it's a middle ground that I always have to
Hmm.
find.
So for the people who don't know, Formula 4 is a category, not a series, because it's hosted by specific countries. It doesn't have a calendar as far as I know.
So basically, there are different countries that
Hmm.
have their national championships for
Yes.
Formula 4, but it is a championship for sure.
Okay.
And then comes the FIA F4 category, like the
Yes.
championship. So if you start winning races over here, if you perform well, that's when you go to the FIA
Yeah.
F4. But obviously, to get into it, you have to start from different
Yeah.
countries. The more you drive, the more points you collect, helps you
Hmm.
out to go into the
So you do have
FIA
a
championship.
choices of engines and chassis,
No,
or
no.
is it homologated?
It's a one make championship.
Okay.
Yeah. At
So
least Formula 4 is one make.
okay.
Then things changes a little bit, but not much.
So what do you prefer? As a race car driver, would you like the entire grid to have the same car,
Oh
or
yeah.
would you like to have
No, I would like the entire grid to have the same car. That's
okay,
when you know who's the best out of them.
true.
Who can adapt to a car very quickly and who can get the best out of the car. When
Yes.
you have everything going your way,
Hmm.
it doesn't
It doesn't
really,
really show.
show what kind of a driver you are.
Yes.
So yeah.
Okay. So I'd say in a perfect future of yours, you'd like to have a homologated formula. We might see you into NASCAR or maybe.
I see. I am a person who believes, I'm a very realistic person. I know I can't make it to Formula One. I'm already I'm already 22. I'm
we'll
in
see.
India.
Yeah.
If I'm being realistic, it's very difficult, especially for Indians, because you don't get
And
sponsors easily
most
in
people
India.
don't understand that 20, even that you started at 9, in
Yes.
today's age, it's very late to start because children are now starting karting at 2 or 3 years old.
That's too much. But yeah.
So,
Racing professionally, you
yeah.
can start at 7.
Okay.
When I was there, we started at 9. So now it's getting a little. Basically, it's like the youngsters now. I'm jealous of them because they're getting so many more opportunities, which I didn't have. We had those opportunities, but we didn't really get selected in that. We
Okay.
were not, we were not given the push to go there, not the
Hmm.
support around us. But now, especially in India as well, the federation is focusing on grassroots level motorsports, which is very accessible to all the drivers or whoever wants to pursue motorsports. So I feel For me, as long as I can drive, as you said, NASCAR,
Yeah.
as long as it has four wheels and I get to drive, I get to race on the
Hmm.
track, I'll be very happy.
Okay. So you have a sponsorship deal with Red Bull, as
Yes.
far as I know.
Yes.
And what advice do you have for a young person coming up in a motorsports to catch their eye? Or how do you would explain young talent recognition works on the tracks or the circuits of India?
I would say now, at least, if talking about both men and women,
Hmm.
I'll first specifically talk about women
Okay.
because now women are getting a lot more opportunities,
Yes.
but they are not taking it the correct way.
Okay.
Uh, there might be a few females who are actually doing well, but there are other females who actually take the advantage of women in motorsports and all of that,
Yes.
and they have no results.
Okay.
People know me for this. That see,
That is a very brave thing to say, if I may, because
I don't.
that is something people will shy away from saying
Yeah,
what you
because
just
I
said.
have worked hard,
Yeah.
and if I am compared to somebody who's just entered into the sport and has the money for it and has the social media,
Yeah.
presence, people outside the motorsport community don't really know what championship they were
Hmm.
participating in, how many people were there, and they have won.
Yes.
It's the same. So I have a group of friends who we have been racing since 2016 together, and we all talk about this. Women get the easy way out always, whereas all of us have worked so hard. I to see I get it. Women in motorsport, it's a
Yeah.
very good thing. You can promote, but let it be fair. So
That's
that's
true.
there. But at the same time, even men, they do the same thing.
Yes.
Once they get a training done, it's done. They are professional racers. It's not like that. You have to race, you have to get the results out there.
Yeah.
So, to all the younger generation who's actually getting into the sport, you really need to set your priorities. Do you just want to be out there, get the fame, but not the results? Or do you actually want to earn respect among the
Hmm.
motorsport community and get the results? Because from what I feel, I got my Red Bull deal only because I had the results out there.
Yes.
And after that, nobody else has gotten a Red Bull deal. Jehan, he has the
He
results.
has the results.
Yes. Everything goes the same way.
Hmm.
Once you have the results, it will go for a long term. But if you do not have the results, if you just have the social media presence, it doesn't really work.
True.
So every youngster, you have so many opportunities. Take it in the correct manner. Work hard for it because that will take you a long way
That
instead
is
of
a
just doing racing for a
yeah.
few years and getting done with it. You will get the sponsors if you perform.
If you perform,
So,
that's a very rational and a very good advice.
yeah.
So speaking of women in Formula One, uh, I just came back from the Singapore GP.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
jealous. I wanted to go. But I was at the racetrack as well, so yeah, please
Okay.
go ahead.
So while I was there, of course we had the headline F1 event.
Yes.
Then the
W
second was
series.
the Thailand Super Series,
Yes.
and the fourth one was the women's
Yes, the W series.
W Series. And I actually saw them practice and qualify, not the race. And the tenacity, the ferociousness, the breaking points, and everything, I wouldn't recognize if there is a girl or a
Yes.
guy inside the car.
Yes.
And it is so sad to know that the remaining of the calendar was just got
Cancelled out.
cancelled because of
Yes.
lack of funding,
Funding.
and they are stating that we'll doing this for managing the 23 calendar.
Season, yes.
But at the level, FIA being such a huge governing body, isn't it just a sad state of affairs to know that the middle, I think just 3 or 4 races were left in the calendar
Yes,
and they had to
yes.
pull it off.
Yes, yes.
So, how do you feel about that? Or,
It's a mixed feeling, to be honest. Was selected in the W series initial the first year.
okay,
So we were selected amongst like top 100 females, and then the top 50 were gone. Like, we went to Austria for a selection, and all
hmm,
of that happened. that was the first time I had actually seen, how hard all of us females
Yes,
work. And they were badass. I was
they are.
like, dude, if those girls come to India, these guys won't
Yeah,
be able to even be go
exactly.
on the racetrack. You can't beat them.
Yes.
So I've heard from a lot of friends who've actually seen Jamie race in the F2000.
Yeah, she won at Singapore when
Yes.
so
No, she didn't. She did?
I think she
No,
did.
she didn't.
She
She did.
did.
No, she didn't. The other female one.
Okay.
Yeah, Jamie actually won the championship, but yeah,
Okay.
that was her first race in the season that she didn't win. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, those guys actually saw her race in the F2000, the
Hmm.
MRF F2000, and they're like, dude, she is just so amazing, man. And I'm like, I know because I raced with her. I actually, in the selection process, we had to do a race of champions, and
Hmm.
I got the opportunity to race with her. And I was like, wow, I can learn so much from them.
Yes.
And I feel very sad that the women are not getting so many opportunities, but I feel it's a huge change that we have seen, not just in India but around the whole world. That there are so many females who are actually getting the opportunity now. When we started, we didn't have.
Yes.
So I feel it's a process. It will take time, but for sure in the next few years you will see a lot more females performing at different levels and winning races for sure. So it's a positive side that I want to look up
Yes.
to, that it is a chance, and I know that the girls out there will for sure, bring out the best,
Hmm.
and just create so many more opportunities and achievements for themselves over there.
So other thing I'd like to know from you, I'd like to know Mira as a person. And after you just described that very hectic roller coaster ride you had in Malaysia, how do you unwind after a weekend like that?
I sleep. I truly sleep because as we were talking before this whole
Hmm.
thing, I'm going to Bangalore now,
Yes.
and then I'll directly go to Coimbatore. So it's like a too hectic weekend. At least for my race, I am stressed out for myself.
Hmm.
But for my students' race, I am even more stressed out. I'm running around on the track without having food,
Hmm.
water, nothing at all, under the sun, and trying to figure out things for them. It's very stressful, but I feel at peace when I'm there. So that's the happiness that I really look forward to. More than being on the racetrack,
Hmm.
I feel happy that I'm able to, give my knowledge and help my students now after such a long time. Because when I started racing, I didn't have that help. So after all of this, when I come home, my family knows not to disturb me for a week. I'll be sleeping till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They won't disturb me
Hmm.
because I really need that. I will not sleep till 12 o'clock. All my students at times, we all sit together in a room and we are doing data.
Okay.
And then in my race, till 12 o'clock, I am sitting with my friends talking about, where they can improve, where I can improve,
Hmm.
and relaxing as well. But all of that, we never have a conversation outside racing. So it's always like, we're always pushing ourselves to our limits. So I feel that's the only way I unwind. And then reading at times. I don't really have a lot of friends left in India now. At least when I'm back home, all of them have left the country,
Hmm.
which is sad, by the way. But I mean, their future. But still, I hang out with my brother, and he has friends. We go out, hang
Hmm.
out together. So that's. Once I'm in Vadodara, it's very boring for me.
Yeah.
It's the truth. I get bored over here, but I like it. I get to relax.
Yeah, it's our home city, so we'll
Yes.
always like it.
Yes.
So how are your friendships with the people who are you are racing with? Is it toxic or is it positive or
I bully them.
okay?
Not all the time, but I've heard this at
Hmm.
least. This year I was talking to my teammates, and we were just randomly chatting, and they're like, Mira, we have realized you're the only person on track who has no grudges and nobody hates you. We like, so my team and my other friends,
Hmm.
basically they are in another team and I am in another team. The whole group, they have the biggest rivalry together, and I am standing in between them. and I'm still friends with both of
Yeah.
them. So it's like, I'm on the only person on track who has friends with, like, who's friends with everyone, and I like to keep it that way. On track, they know that if I am having car issues, I will be the first person to help them out.
Hmm.
But if I'm not having car issues, I will be the first person to overtake them. So they know when to, respect me
Yes.
and when to not push my buttons. But at the same time, they respect me a lot for who I am. And I'm very glad that I have such friends and
Yes.
everyone on track who will, you know, go to lengths to help me out.
Hmm.
I had this crash where my car flipped,
Okay.
and that was one of the biggest serious accidents that I've had. It was in
Hmm.
2019, no, 2020, and the whole grid, they had to red flag it. And as soon, so they went across once under the safety car, and then they stopped.
Yes.
The whole grid was out of their cars looking for me to come out of the ambulance and say hi to them.
Hmm.
They were all stressed out, and that made me feel so happy. And I was just waving from the ambulance saying, "Hi, I'm fine." And one of them saw, and they were like, everybody was so happy. And I
Hmm.
saw that on the race, like the live
Yeah.
video
Live
after
video.
that. And I felt so happy that everybody cares so much
Hmm.
about me. So I feel very grateful to have such people around me.
Okay. So I think we are naturally going to the other set of questions I have, which is safety
Okay.
in motorsports.
Yes.
And it has come very far way if you look at 60s, 70s, 80s
Yes.
and
Yes.
90s, where drivers were willing to risk their life over a one qualifying lap on Saturday.
Yes.
Still, we do have a few mishaps now and then.
Yeah.
The unfortunate case of Bianchi, and recently what happened at Suzuka with Pierre
Yeah.
Gasly and
Gasly.
Alex Albon. How do you manage the fear, or like you said, you had the flip in the car? Does that affect your performance next time you are on the track?
No, not at all. At least I know we have come a long way in terms of safety,
Yes.
and I believe in it. At the same time, I've accepted the fact that motorsport is dangerous and I have to live with it.
Hmm.
I am doing this for my passion,
Yes.
and I'm gonna risk my life for it. I have no problem. But at the same time, I trust everybody else on track who's racing against me that they will not make a stupid mistake at times, because we all are professionally trained.
Yes.
We will only be able to race together at very close length. If we don't have a trust, we won't be able to do that.
Yes.
So I trust my competitors and I trust the car that I am in, and that's the only way, because everything else, we have so, like, at least 3 ambulances ready. We
Yes.
have all the cranes ready. We have so many people on track to who are
Yeah.
trained actually to help us out of situations. So I feel that the safety part is
Yes.
improving. There's a long way for sure, but for now I'm happy with what's happening, and I trust people who
Hmm.
are around me on the track to help me out of the situation.
Yes.
When I flipped, I was hanging there for a minute
Okay.
because they had to get the crane.
Crane.
They tried to push the car and try to make it on the road again, but they couldn't do it. So they had to get the crane, and
Hmm.
I was fine with it. I was just hanging like that. I'm like, okay, you can come, you can
Yes.
help me out. So it's like I trust them, so it's fine. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Other thing I'd like to know from you, and I'd like to know your opinion.
Okay.
Formula One did come to India,
Yes.
and the whole debacle that happened. Do you think it will come back soon again? Because MotoGP is
MotoGP.
different sport,
Yes.
but
I hope so.
yeah, we all hope so.
Yeah, that's, I truly don't know what's happening, but we have seen a lot of different things that's happening.
Hmm.
Formula 3 is coming to India,
Yes.
and now Formula 4, actual, like the Formula 4
Hmm.
car and the whole championship is coming to India, which is certified by FIA.
Hmm.
So I think in the next few years we can hope that the Formula 1 championship comes back to India, but it's also with the government.
Yes.
There's a lot of things that goes around that. So if they can sort their issues out, I think we'll be very happy to have Formula 1. But for now, we are happy that we have Formula 3, Formula 4, and MotoGP coming to India.
You think other nationality drivers have an advantage over Indian drivers because of lack of infrastructure and
Yes,
things?
yes, they do. They for sure do have a upper hand, I would say, but it's also that we do not have a lot of support in India.
Yeah.
But it's growing, I would say. We have seen a lot more drivers going out of the country and representing the country
Yes.
nowadays. So I feel India is still lacking at a few points, but the federation is working really hard. I am a part of the grassroots
Hmm.
commission over in the federation,
Hmm.
and I know how much focus they are trying to get from the people, from brands, from
Yeah.
companies. So I feel it's improving, and it will improve, it will continue to improve. And let's hope like we get more
Yes.
infrastructures and we get more opportunities that the other drivers have.
Yes. Because Daruwala just did practice sessions with McLaren.
McLaren,
I
yes.
think he did it twice.
Yes, twice.
So that is a huge achievement in
He's a
itself.
he's the hope for us
Yeah,
right
he
now
is
in
the hope
Formula One.
because seeing the past, I shouldn't say that, but people who have represented India in the Formula One, they.
I know them personally, so I'll keep quiet. But no, I really look up to them that they even
Uh,
made it to Formula
yes.
One, and I have got to learn so much. Naren Karthikeyan
Hmm.
also has a team in karting where I have my own team, and
Yes.
I get to talk to him so much. And when he says that, Mira, where did you get your girl from? She's so good.
Hmm.
I feel so proud because it's coming from Naren Karthikeyan,
Yes.
who is very experienced. So I feel that they all have done their bits, but now Jihan is our hope, and I really hope that things work
Yes.
out for him for sure.
Okay. The last question I have for you is that do you think 22 races in a season is a bit too much for the drivers and the teams, and do you want more teams entering into all the sectors of the formula sanctioned races to so people have more seats?
I would say it's a very conversational, like controversial conversation. But I'm happy with 22
Hmm.
races. We get more entertainment, obviously. But for in terms of the driver's point of view, it's like half of the drivers would want to race so
Yes.
much, but half of them wouldn't. So if I was there, I wouldn't mind
Okay.
because I am passionate about it, and I don't mind going on the racetrack and
Hmm.
racing every weekend. Not every weekend, but like at least
Yeah.
half of the year. But it's a question that we have. It's a long debatable question.
Exactly.
In terms of the teams, same again. You might want a lot more drivers to come in,
Hmm.
but is it worth it?
Yes.
Because right now itself there are so many drivers who deserve to be there but they're not getting the seat,
Exactly.
and at the same time there are new drivers are coming in and they deserve it as well.
Yes.
But I don't want so many teams after a point that it becomes very accessible for everyone to go there
Hmm.
and participate. It has to be something that you really have to work hard for.
Yes.
If Daniel Ricciardo is not able to perform with certain team, fine,
Yeah.
it's okay, you can come back after a few years or come back
Hmm.
next year, find a way for yourself.
Yes.
But you have to work hard for your seat. Whatever you do, you need to
Hmm.
get the results out there.
So
No matter how much I enjoy Daniel Ricciardo's
yeah,
race or anybody else's race, it's the
perform.
results
Yeah.
that matter. If the team's not working, yes, people know it,
Yes.
but at the same time the driver has to suffer
Hmm.
sometimes, and we all do that. I
Yes.
suffer as well at times, but it's okay.
It's people don't know, but motorsport is actually a lot of hard work done by a
A lot.
lot many people.
A lot.
It's a huge team sport,
Yes.
and I saw it firsthand at Singapore because it was a double header weekend,
Yes, yes.
and the race finished on Sunday, and on Monday I went running through the same road, and almost everything of that was packed
Is
and ready,
packed.
and it was almost shipped.
Yes.
Like in a matter of 4 days, how do you dismantle entire paddocks and ship it across seas and then have it set up again in a matter
Yeah.
of 5 days?
Uh-huh.
So it's
It's a bunch of
yeah.
passionate people who
Yes.
really work hard for it.
I have seen people working on tracks at 4 a.m. painters painting the sponsorship signs and
Yeah.
everything. So it's a huge amount of work that goes into it.
Yes, it's the same thing for us. You
Oh,
know,
yes.
even now, our mechanics. So basically, it's the same bunch of mechanics who work in the different categories.
Hmm.
You'll see the same mechanics working on go karts. The next weekend, you'll see them working on our Formula cars.
Okay.
And I have my own team here in karting, but at the same time, the same team that I race for here, it has their own team there.
Okay.
So on Sunday, we pack everything, we leave, we come back here, and we have to start testing on Wednesday, preferably. The drivers would want that to set up their cars. 2 days, they don't have rest at all. From here,
Yes.
they go there, start getting the cars ready for us. And it's you know commendable that they continuously work so hard.
Hmm.
And even on the track, all of us, even I got to learn this recently because I started my own team.
Hmm.
We are there till 12 o'clock in the night working on
Yes.
the carts, whereas the drivers are sleeping, you know, just to make sure that the carts are fine, the carts are
Yes.
ready. So it's always like everyone is working so hard, and that's the people, everybody out there don't know that,
Exactly.
but it's a passion.
Cheers to that.
Yes.
Uh, we are now coming to the end of this conversation, and I'd like to know your favorites. So, your favorite motorsport idol from any era?
Max.
Okay, good answer. So, I guess your favorite team is then Red Bull.
Of course.
What's your favorite track?
Very confusing for me. I have a
Have
lot
a street and a
then Monaco.
Monaco
Yes.
and a circuit.
A lot of them. But I wouldn't say, because usually I say that only the champion tracks that I've driven on, I talk about them, but I haven't driven on a lot many. So let's not answer
Okay, that is for the next time.
Yes. Next time I drive a few
Yeah.
more tracks and come back.
And your favorite racing performance of all time?
For whom?
Anybody you admired or
Oh, I would say for myself only. I have performed so well in one of the races in 2016 when I won my rookie championship. It was truly, I had given out my 200% in that
Okay.
race, mentally, physically, in the car, everything. So I feel that is my favorite performance. Let's not about others, because I know
Yeah.
I have worked hard for it.
Good answer. We'll have a very small rapid fire.
Wasn't this
And-
the rapid fire?
No, it wasn't.
Wow.
And
Okay. Get ready. I'm very bad at rapid fire
Yeah.
rounds. Okay.
so we'll go. Street or track?
Track.
Quali Saturday or race day Sunday?
Oh, any day, Sunday.
Okay.
Race is very important.
Straights or corners?
Straights.
Okay. Schumacher or Senna?
Schumacher.
Here's a zinger now. Flats or heels?
Oh, flats.
Weekends, night in or night out?
Night out.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Text or call?
Text.
Lose your phone or lose your wallet?
Lose my wallet is fine. I don't have my money anyway. I asked my brother and my dad to pay for me.
Marvel or DC?
Marvel any day.
Okay. Your favorite place to eat in Vadodara?
Oh, a lot. I can't choose.
Anyone?
Raj wanted.
Okay. And your favorite song you listen to?
I am
before
not a
race?
musing person at all.
Cool. The last question. What is your goal ahead? Not in motorsports, but something that will make Mira happy and she looks forward to.
She wants to be on the racetrack always. That's why I shifted as well, right? I am racing. I have my own team. I did journalism and mass communication. I know, being a realistic person, I can't race forever. So why not be on the racetrack?
Yes.
At least I get to be there,
Help
right?
others.
Yes, help
Yes.
others.
It has been an absolute pleasure to have